Hey, what's up everyone? It's Nicole, and in today's video I am going to be discussing the film Apostle. Apostle came out in 2018 and is written, directed, and edited by Gareth Evans, who directed the Raid films, and he also directed a short for the anthology film series VHS. It stars Dan Stevens, Michael Sheen, and Lucy Boyan, and it's basically about a guy named Thomas Richardson who kind of has somewhat of a sordid past, a mysterious past, and he comes home to learn that his sister Andrea has been kidnapped and is being held ransom by a cult that lives on this secluded island. So he is then tasked with the responsibility to go to this island, get his sister back, and bring her back home without being caught. And so that's what we kind of do. We watch him go to this island, infiltrate it, and try and get his sister back. But he soon learns that the island and the people are kind of more evil and sinister than he thought. So I loved this movie. I have seen it before. I don't remember it being as grotesque as it is, but it's still really good. It did leave me feeling a little bit sick to my stomach at parts, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was beautifully shot. I think the acting was good, and I just really loved the kind of moody atmosphere that it had throughout the whole entire film. And it was just really tense. I also really liked the message, or the critique that it was trying to convey within its storytelling. But I was a little surprised when I went to go look to see what people were saying about it, that some people didn't really like the film. Like, of course, there were people that did enjoy the movie, but I was kind of surprised by some of the people that said they didn't. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, is kind of these different critiques of the film and why I guess I don't necessarily agree with them. And some of these critiques include that it was a slow burn. They kind of compare it to the Wicker Man and how it's kind of a lesser form of the Wicker Man, and how there was no point or no story conclusion to the whole film. So first, was it a slow burn? I mean, yeah, it was a slower burn. At least the first half of the film was a little bit on the slower side, but I don't feel like it was a slow burn in a bad way. Like, it wasn't unwatchable because it was a slower burn. I feel like the first half was definitely setting up for the events that were going to happen in the second half, and the second half is definitely where it picks up and kind of just one thing after the other starts to happen. But I also felt like it was very intentional for them to make the first half of the film more slow because, of course, like I said already, it is building up for the things that are going to happen in the first half, but I think it's also setting the tone and just the moodiness overall of the film. We definitely see a lot of Thomas kind of, scoping out the place, learning about the people, trying to basically figure out where his sister is and what the hell is going on with this island and this goddess that the people are worshiping. So yeah, we get a lot of nighttime scenes, a lot of him scoping things out, learning about everything, and that of course takes time. And I think again, it's just setting up the fact that shit's about to get real in the second half of the film. And also I feel like it really built up the tension in the first half of the film with it being so slow. I definitely caught myself many times covering my eyes because I was just anticipating. I couldn't handle the anticipation of what was going to happen or what could have possibly been happening next. And I had to take some breaks, cover my eyes a little bit. Yeah, the second half of the film is definitely where they up the ante. We get a lot of things that are being revealed, a lot of people turning on each other, killing each other, just a lot of gory, grotesque things happening. How does it compare to The Wicker Man? So, I mean, when I first watched the film, I did not put two and two together about it being compared to The Wicker Man. It wasn't until my second watching of it that when I looked up the reviews and I saw people saying or comparing it to The Wicker Man. And at first I was like, what? No, it's a completely different story from The Wicker Man. But then I thought about it a little bit more and I was like, okay, I can see where people are getting those comparisons. But for me, it's just, they're kind of on different levels. I mean, yeah, there is the comparison of a guy going to a secluded island that has this cult and kind of seeing all the weird shit that happens on this island, but I feel like that's kind of where the comparison ends. I think Apostle is a little bit more on the grittier side. It's a lot more mysterious. Just the tone overall is just very moody and dark. I feel like with The Wicker Man, at least, just even how they filmed it, I guess to me, The Apostle is just very a dark film, where The Wicker Man, it's not as dark, it's more bright and not as mysterious. I just feel like with The Wicker Man, it was just a weird movie. It's just wasn't my favorite, just because it was weird, and the whole time I was watching The Wicker Man, I just thought to myself, what is going on here? And I know Evans did say that, yes, he did get some of his inspiration from The Wicker Man, but to me, it just didn't seem like that was his entire inspiration. In one of this interview that I saw of him, he was saying that he actually got more of his inspiration from the film The Devils, which I have not seen, so I don't know exactly how much he took from that, but just goes to show that, it wasn't all of the Wicker Man that he was getting his inspiration from. And so what's the theme or the point of the film? So I feel like some of the other criticisms I saw were that people were saying that it was kind of all over the place in its storytelling and that there was like no point to the film, or it didn't wrap up its point of the film at all in the whole movie, which again I disagree with. What Evans has said, kind of what this film was about, was kind of more of a criticism or commentary on the corruption of religion, or more so the way people can take religion and corrupt it. Because I know he didn't want to say like, religion is bad in of itself. He just wanted to say that people can take religion and use it for their own personal mean and gain. So they can use it to kind of get people to do things that they want them to do so that they can get power. And we see this throughout the entire film. We see it with the leader, the prophet of the cult, who was played by Michael Sheen. He starts with worshiping this entity that he comes across, and then he goes, and once he realizes what he can do with this entity's power, he turns it into something for his own self and kind of turns it into, or her into, his prisoner to again further his own like political game or agenda that he had for himself. So when Evans was asked about this, he actually said, "What if these people arrive on this island and it's perfect? You've got this goddess of the island. She's almost a little bit like Mother Nature in that respect. She feeds off of it and then she replenishes. The sea would be perfect. The harvest is amazing. It's all clean and beautiful crops. They turn up and they find her. Instead of revering her, they want to abuse the power they can get from her. They enslave her. From then on, that's when the crops become toxic, because it's not because of her natural ability, but because she's forced to. That became a mechanism, which is kind of used as an allegory for what we were talking about with the politics, religion, and corruption of both." Again, there were like little hints of this throughout the entire film, but some of the other things that kind of made me really see what the whole theme and point of the film was. There was another scene in which Thomas was talking to Andrea, who was the prophet's daughter, and he was telling her, beware of false prophets who come to you in a sheep's clothing because they are wolves beneath it all. Again, just showing itself that how people can come to you with the idea like, I'm here for good. I'm here to do everything that I said I would, but really underneath it all, they're just trying to become more powerful and use things for themselves for their own political gain. And again, I think this also happens towards the end of the film. I feel like this is where like shit really was getting crazy. But towards the end of the film, when Quinn, who was the prophet's kind of like right-hand man, he discovers that his daughter is, holding a secret that he is not happy with. So he then hurts his daughter and turns on his daughter's boyfriend. He decides to say that the daughter's boyfriend is the one that hurt her and that they have to, make him pure, and that he's been, like led astray and whatnot. And so he uses that fear and everything to get the people around him to believe in what he's saying and to enact his revenge on the daughter's boyfriend. And then finally, at the end of the film, which people said it did not bring everything in together, at the end of the film, we see Thomas's character Thomas and the prophet, they're like the only two left on the island, and we see that a drop of his blood lands on the ground, and from the ground it kind of, grows a weed or sprouts some type of plant, and the prophet and Thomas just kind of look at each other, and there is nothing that's said between them, but they just kind of have a glance at each other, and you kind of think like, okay, what's going on? I didn't really catch it the first time I watched it, but when I watched it again recently, I realized, oh shit, this just is like a symbol of like, it's going to happen all over again, like the cycle continues. And I think that's what Evans was trying to say, that like, even though shit like this seems, it was so far in the distance, people using religion to gain power over each other, or kind of using like abusive, like crazy, ritualistic, purifying methods against each other, that even though it seems like it was something that was far away, it still continues today, and people are still continuously abusing religion and pulling the wool over other people's eyes so that they can themselves become more powerful. And people are still kind of weaponizing religion and just kind of using it for their own personal gain again. So is Apostle a good movie? I'm gonna have to say yes. I think Evans was successful in kind of conveying the concepts that he was trying to convey in the film, and he did so in a beautiful way. Everything looked really good. Again, all the acting was very good. I just think some of the things people were saying about it are just kind of, maybe a little bit too harsh. The movie was a little bit on the slower side, but again, it wasn't that slow. It was, I think, just everything was intentional about this film, and I think Evans really did a good job. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys check out Apostle if you have not already. It's on Netflix, and let me know what you think if you have seen the film before and if you agree or if you disagree with my thoughts on it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.